In 1996, I was having a typical day in the cardiac cath lab. I was placing stents, doing angioplasty, and I'll never forget this. I opened the door to the lab, walked out, and there was standing a guy named Dean Ornish. Now, I didn't know who Dr. Ornish was. I didn't know about his research, didn't know about the books that he wrote. I didn't know anything about him. And he said to me, "I've been told that you would be perfect to do some research in heart patients." And I said, "Great." I really thought he was going to say, "I have a new stent," or "I have a new angioplasty catheter." But instead, what he said to me was, "I want to take some of your sickest heart patients, people that are not even candidates for bypass or stenting. Now, these are really sick people. And he said, I want you to teach them yoga. I want you to teach them meditation, exercise, place them on a vegetarian diet, and put them in support groups." Well, I have to be honest. I said to Dr. Ornish, with all due respect, those were my exact words, "I don't know anything about yoga. I know less about meditation. I surely don't know anything about vegetarian diet. And I definitely am not a psychologist, and I can't run a support group. I wasn't taught this in medical school. I was taught to do what I'm doing now." To his credit, he just laughed. He said, "You know what? I was trained in the same way you were, but I still want you to do the research." So I decided that if I was going to do a research study that involved yoga and meditation, I needed to know something about this. I mean, how could I be a principal investigator on a research study and not know anything about what I was studying? So I decided to participate in the study basically as a patient. So I took my own cholesterol level, drew my own blood, went to the yoga classes, and started to do everything that the patients did. So if you can imagine, we took these really sick heart patients who were told by surgeons, "You can't have a bypass, you'll never make it." And then in the 90s, we didn't have the kind of stents we had today. Today I call stents heat-seeking missiles. They can go right into the blood vessel. We used to struggle for hours in the 90s to get a stent in. So I began on this path to do the research side by side with my patients. They came in 3 times a week, sometimes for as much as 4 hours a day. And together, we did yoga. We learned to meditate. The patients sat in support groups, talked about their stories. And this went on for over a year. The results were amazing. In fact, they were astonishing. The obvious things occurred. People lost weight. That's true. Their diabetes got better. They were able to get rid of a lot of their medications. But something even more important than that happened. What was really fascinating to me was that people transformed their lives. I never thought of heart disease as a family disease. When someone is really sick, it doesn't have to be heart disease, any disease. The whole family is involved. I heard spouses talk to me about walking on eggshells, afraid if they did something, their partner, their husband, or their wife would have a heart attack. The transformation I saw was not only in the patients, it was in the kids, it was in the spouses, it was in the entire family. When we concluded the research, we saw people were less depressed. They responded differently to stressful situations. Their relationships got better. Even more importantly, they started to ask really deep questions like, what is my purpose in life? And if I do have something that's physically wrong, how do I want to spend the next time on this planet? Do I want to be arguing with my neighbor, or do I want to be with my grandkids? The list was endless. And as a physician, I was completely transformed. I have never and will never be the same cardiologist. There is no way, after what I witnessed, the changes in people's lives through this research, the healing on a mind, body, and spirit level that was accomplished, there is no way that I can go back to just saying I can cure coronary disease with a stent and a drug. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that that was simply not true. I knew with all my heart that I needed to take up the mission and to create a new model of healthcare. And the model that I embraced was what we call today holistic integrative medicine. In this model of care, we don't just treat symptoms. We get to the underlying cause. We don't just treat the physical body. We don't separate the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of healing from the physical. What we did, in essence, was we created a bridge. It was a bridge between the best of global healing traditions. For example, for the Ornish research, we used yoga and meditation and vegetarian diet. That comes right out of Ayurvedic medicine from India. But our patients still got their medications. We didn't stop their drugs. We didn't stop their aspirin and things that they needed for their heart. We did both together. A bridge was created between Ayurvedic medicine and Western medicine. Integrative medicine is all about that bridge. How can we use the best from both worlds to bring about healing? For me personally, I became a bridge physician. I began to feel as comfortable talking about vegetarian diet because guess what? I myself became a vegetarian. I can't teach vegetarian diet if I'm not a vegetarian. That doesn't make sense. So I can feel as comfortable teaching vegetarian diet as I feel recommending a bypass, or as comfortable recommending omega-3 fish oil and meditation as I feel recommending some tried and true heart medicines like Coreg and ACE inhibitors. I would go back and forth between both worlds, not only in my practice, but with my colleagues. I can stand in front of a conference filled with heart specialists and talk exactly about these things because I've developed a new language that lives in both worlds. So, integrative, holistic medicine is not about alternative medicine. Alternative medicine implies I'm going to do an alternative to mainstream medicine. In alternative medicine, I would see a patient choose to do diet and nutrition infusion therapies and maybe not do their chemotherapy and radiation. But in integrative holistic medicine, we use it all. If you need a bypass, if you need chemo, if you need radiation, we do all of those things. But we also do the best that we can with picking from the global healing traditions, whether it's yoga or meditation and so on. So I feel it's important to go through some of the terms and concepts because even my own colleagues don't know what they mean. I remember years ago being at a conference and I used the word holistic and I saw some eyebrows going up because some of my colleagues equate holistic medicine with snake oil, or that I'm going to be doing something really unusual. And I just tell them, guess what, guys? Holistic just means whole. Treating the whole person, not just one little part. I'm not a parts person. It means looking at the physical, but also looking at the mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's embracing the individual in the world in which they live, in the environment that they live in, the people that surround them, and their connection to the planet. That's what holistic means. I like to teach it to my patient this way. I tell my patients, if you have a chair, and the chair has 4 legs on it, you need those 4 legs to be balanced, or the chair will tip over. Well, everybody knows that. So I like them to think about the 4 legs as body, mind, emotions, and spirit. And a day doesn't go by where I don't ask my patients, what did you do for body, mind, emotions, and spirit today? Because each of us needs to do something in every category. Some of us need a little more in one place than another, but it's all needed for wholeness, for health, and for healing. Now let's take a look at what we mean by integrative medicine. I mentioned the term earlier, global healing traditions. Well, what does that mean? Global healing traditions are traditions that have been around, many for thousands of years. An example would be traditional Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine has been around for over 5,000 years. It has a philosophy, it has an education, you become a doctor of Chinese medicine. It's as rigorous a training as any medical school training that I've gone through. Another global healing tradition would be Ayurvedic medicine, which comes from India. Again, over 5,000 years old. And you become an Ayurvedic physician when you train in India in that discipline. And it focuses on things like nutrition, on keeping people well, using massage and oils, yoga and meditation, lots of pieces that we used, for example, in our clinical trial. So, integrative medicine says, I'll keep the global healing tradition of Western medicine, because that is a global healing tradition, and I'll enhance it. I'll bring in all these other pieces, whatever it takes to get my patient well. Now, I didn't name all of the global healing traditions, and I certainly don't mean to leave anyone out, because we have homeopathy, naturopathy. There are many, including Western medicine. And many physicians today are now trained in one or the other. I know many physicians who are trained, for example, in Ayurvedic medicine, or who are trained in traditional Chinese medicine, and they too are bridge people. So let's think a little bit about the concept of holistic and integrative together. Because you can put acupuncture needles in someone and say you're an acupuncturist and do integrative medicine, but do you know something about that person? Are you taking care of them, body, mind, and spirit? Is your approach holistic? That's no different than my giving Lipitor or a drug and not getting to the underlying cause of a problem. So when I say holistic integrative medicine, what I'm talking about is a whole new philosophy. In the first lecture, I really talked about being trained as a repairman. As a physician, I was taught, go to the emergency room, get the patient having a heart attack, put in the stent. But as a holistic integrative medicine physician, I'm thrilled that my role has changed. The word doctor, for example, means teacher. To teach, and to teach about prevention, about health, about wellness. This is one of my missions. It's about being a healer. It's about being present with my patients and partnering with my patients. The days are over where I tell a patient, do as I say, not as I do. I need to be a model of health. I need to meet my patients where they're at. I can't focus anymore on just fixing broken parts. As a holistic integrative physician, I'm looking at the whole person. Healing one's life requires getting to the underlying issues and working them through. I used to think that my job was done if I gave a pill and I got an expected result. I used to think that if someone had high blood pressure and I gave a medicine and the blood pressure came down, I got the result, I'm happy, the patient's happy. I wasn't really focusing on anything else. I wasn't really looking at what mattered in that patient's life. You know, very few people come to me and say, my primary objective is to get my LDL down. They may say, I'd like to lower my cholesterol. But ultimately, they say, I want to feel better. I want to be happier. I want to spend time with my grandkids. I want to see my nephew graduate from high school. I want to be at my daughter's wedding. This is what I hear in my practice. So happiness, which I was never even taught about in medical school, can no longer be ignored. I also was taught that if a patient died, that we failed, that as physicians, we didn't do our job. And we always felt bad about it. I remember once when I was an intern at Cornell, and I had a lady in the ICU for 6 months. And I worked on this woman every day. I wasn't partnering with her. She was in the ICU, on a ventilator, and every day I'd go in and put IVs in and order medications. And one day she opened her eyes, and she said, I want to die. Oh my God. I thought, I can't handle this. I wasn't trained to handle this. My training is for you to live. And I've come to realize that death is part of the human process. That doesn't mean we don't do everything to keep you healthy and well, but I no longer see it as a failure. And one of the biggest lessons I learned practicing integrative holistic medicine is that the concept of pain, emotional pain, physical pain, even mental and spiritual pain, they're not the enemy. You know, we're trained that if someone has pain, we give a painkiller. We don't ask the question, why is someone in pain? What is that about? Sometimes pain is a teacher. Sometimes it's a lesson. Sometimes it's a warning. It's telling us something is out of balance. Pay attention. This is the way we think as integrative holistic physicians. So let's take a look at some of the big principles. And the same principles I'm going to share with you today, I share with physicians. I teach this exact lecture, or close to it, to physicians every year who are dissatisfied with their practice and want to do something different. So what does it mean to be an integrative, holistic medicine physician and practitioner? Well, one of the first things we believe in is that prevention is the best intervention. You've heard me say in the previous lecture, when you need a stent in the acute emergency of a heart attack, we absolutely want to have that technology available to us. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want to have the technology available, but prevention, getting to the underlying cause of disease, this is what distinguishes us from traditional Western medicine. We don't just say, you have diabetes, here's your pill. We say, you have diabetes, and let's explore why. I'd like to share one little story. I had a patient come to see me with high blood pressure. And he said to me he'd been to 4 different physicians, and every physician gave him a different blood pressure pill. And he went through all the tests to find out if he had something unusual about him that led to that high blood pressure. And all those tests came back normal. And yet every time he got a new medicine. So now he's on 4 blood pressure pills. That's a lot. So I said, well, let's take a look at what's going on. I said, let's just look through your day first. Let's start in the morning. I want you to tell me everything you do from when you get up to when you go to bed. I said to this patient, I want you to tell me what you eat, who you eat with, what you drink, how you prepare your food. I want to go through everything. And the answer came right away. This man was drinking 15 bottles of electrolyte water a day. Now, I won't name names, but he was drinking electrolytes filled with what? Sodium, 15 bottles a day. Oh, I said, your blood pressure is easy to fix. Give up that drink, come and see me next week. Needless to say, his blood pressure was cured. If I didn't ask him what he was eating, I wouldn't have gotten to the underlying cause of his high blood pressure. So let's take a look at another principle. We don't really focus on quantity of life in holistic integrative medicine. We really focus on optimal health. Optimal health is one of our primary goals. So what does optimal health mean? It is the conscious pursuit of the highest level of functioning we can obtain. It doesn't matter where we start. Everyone's in a different place. Everyone's in a different spot on the journey. But it's the highest level of functioning and a balance between the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and also the environmental and social aspects of being human. This is what it means to be optimally healthy. When I think about it, if I'm at my peak and I'm healthy, I'm going to have happiness. It's about social connection, about family, community, and for many of us, a connection to a higher power, whether that's nature, the divine, or some other belief system. Emotionally, we feel confident. We feel good about who we are. Physically, we have good energy. Our vitality is up. We're in harmony with our surroundings. And probably one of the most important pieces is we have peace of mind. Because as you will hear in later lectures, if we have peace of mind, we are less likely to go and look for peace in unhealthy foods and cigarettes and drugs and other things like that. This is what it means to be optimally healthy. We all know that not one size fits all. Not everyone needs the same thing. Not everyone needs the same meditation program or yoga program. Not everyone needs the same pill. We need to look at people as individual. We call it personalized medicine. We focus on the unique aspects of an individual, on the nature of the person. A great and brilliant physician, Sir William Osler, said this: "It is more important to know what type of person has the disease than what disease a person has." I'll say that again because it's so key. It is more important to know what type of person has the disease, not just what disease the person has. What else do we do? What else makes us different? We partner with our patients. We get to the underlying cause. We recognize the individuality of each and every one of us. And we embrace the wisdom found in all the global healing traditions. I talked a bit about this earlier. It's no longer just one tool or two tools in my toolbox. Now I have a toolbox filled with tools. So when that patient comes in and is depressed, I don't tell them, here's your antidepressant. That's not my first reaction. I'm going to say, let's get to the underlying cause of that depression. Let's get to the underlying cause of your arthritis. I can tell you right now, and we'll talk about this in later lectures. If you have arthritis, there's a good chance you're eating the wrong foods. Let's take a look at that. So now I can go into my toolbox and say, let's get you on the right herbal remedies that prevent inflammation. Let's get you on the right foods that prevent inflammation. Let's get you some massage and some acupuncture. Now my toolbox is filled with tools, which, by the way, are evidence-based. This is not just pie-in-the-sky medicine. They're evidence-based tools embedded in science in the right situation to help people heal. Now, one of the deep core principles of integrative holistic medicine is about the fundamentals of life. We recognize that all experiences in life, birth, joy, suffering, even dying, are profound opportunities for learning. As I said before, being with my patient in that ICU, I learned a lot about dying. She taught me a lot about dying. I didn't learn it in medical school. We also know that we have within ourselves the innate power to heal. All people have the ability to heal. We just have to tap into the wisdom of the body's innate power, and to bring that forth. But we can't tap into that if we're stressed out. Stress suppresses our immune system. We can't fight infection. We can't fight cancer. So one of our goals as integrative holistic physicians is to help people utilize these powers, to tap into them, to put them into the right space for healing. If we cut our hand, do we have to tell our hand, oh, heal up, bring in the white cells, bring in the fibroblasts? No, the body already knows how to do it. We just need to access the knowing. Finally, we believe that love is the most powerful healer. I will tell you, if I thought 15 years ago that I would be giving this lecture saying that love is the most powerful healer, I would have laughed. And yet I see every day in my practice that one of the most important things I can do for my patients, with my patients, in partnership with my patients, is to open my heart and to come from love, not to come from judgment, to meet each individual with kindness, with acceptance, with grace. One of my heroes is Mother Teresa. And Mother Teresa had this to say: "It is not how much you do, but how much love you put into the doing that matters." We could fill our day up with lots of things to do, but remember to put some love into it. No matter how small we think it is, it's not how much you do, but how much you do with intention and from the heart. So, we have a new paradigm for healthcare. And the new paradigm turns the old paradigm upside down. I was trained to have the foundation of healthcare be drugs and surgery. If you think about a pyramid, the bottom, the base of the pyramid was specialists and drugs and operations. Now, that's the top of the pyramid, the apex. The base of the pyramid is about taking care of the whole person, about body, mind, and spirit, about connection, connection to community. It's about food. It's about love. It's about touch. It's about micro and macro nutrition. It's about moving and exercise. It's about prayer and meditation. We have completely shifted the thinking, and integrative holistic medicine has made this, for me as a physician, completely possible.